So how's it going, guys? This is Rio Murata, photographer based in Tokyo. So 2025 and the year of, or the month of February, there's an event called CP Plus, which stands out for Camera Photo Convention. It happens every year in Yokohama, and it's actually really close to get to Yokohama from Shibuya. It's like only 20-30 minutes away. So if you're in the sort of like a season of February, it happened in between February 27th to March 2nd. So tomorrow's, or yesterday, when this video is going to be uploaded, is sort of like last day. It's like basically the largest photography convention that happens in Japan. And it's a great location to gain information, knowledge on new products. And because it's sort of like focused on digital equipment, I never dug deep in that field because although I do it as a living, I need to gain knowledge, I need to learn, you know, so I basically go there for that. But there are some companies that are sort of like making film related goods, so I thought it would be nice to, for the benefit of the community and also my subscribers, to give you guys that information and pass it on to you guys. So yeah, last year I didn't cover that much, but this year I need to cover like roughly 5 or 6. So hopefully this video is not going to be too long. I will try to go as brief as possible and be efficient as I can. So yeah, where to begin? Number one has to be Lomography. If you recall my video last year, Lomography had a super tiny stall actually, and it was kind of a shocker. But this year, fortunately enough, they actually increased the space, what you call the surface area, or what you call the exhibition space, by doubling it actually, and in front of Sony's booth. So this was like really surprising, which means that they are prospering in this year. And when you think about 2024 to 2025, Lomography almost kind of fulfilled their mission in my mind, because they have a lot of film stocks that they kind of released. And when you look on their front, they have their Lomochrome series. They have turquoise, they have purple, they have red scale, they have Lomochrome 92, which they released, which I made a video on. And also they started to sell the variety, or the variation of that Lomochrome series. They released the 92, what was it? Sun Kiss, which I'm still making a video on. And also for the purple front, they made Petulant, if I'm right, another variety. So, and also they have a film scanning method of the Digital Leica series. They have like newer instax cameras, you name it all. And I initially thought they were fulfilled in that role. However, I was wrong. And this year specifically, they have 2 new products that I should mention on my channel, which is their Pelvetzel series of lenses. And unfortunately, I can't dig deep on this like lens, because the Pelvetzel lens is a lens that came out in the early 19th century, and it's more for digital side. And because it's only offered in the Canon mount and the Nikon mount, which I never use, unfortunately I can't like talk much about it. But it's basically a lens that has a really distinctive outer focus area. I'll stick some sample photos. I wasn't able to like rent it, so I'll just borrow it from their website. But it has a sort of like distinctive look to it. So if you're into that, they released a Mark II version. So that's an area to like mention. And the most like important part of 2025 for Lomography has to be their newly announced Lomo Daylight developing tank actually, which kind of got me off guard, because I thought they were kind of finished because they have a sort of like a film scanning set with a lot of film stocks available already. So I thought they were done, but they came out with this, which caught me off guard. So long story short, they released a developing tank, which shockingly you can actually process your film in daylight. Okay, so Lomo Daylight, a developing tank. This is like really unique product, because mostly I actually don't process my film at home, because due to the fact that it's hard to like dispose the chemicals in Tokyo, the laws like really strict. So most of the time I basically send it off to a lab to do it for me. But this is for beginners, people who are starting out actually. And what's problematic about processing film in home is obviously you need a dark bag, and also you have to do everything without looking, you know, because film is sensitive light. If light hits the film, you're gonna ruin that during process. So you basically had to use dark bag. You basically had to cut the film from the canister, 35mm film, and sort of like reel it onto a white reel actually. And if you use a Patterson tank, you basically had to do that, what, 2, 3, or maybe 4 reels and load it into the Patterson tank and then start mixing chemicals into the film and stuff like that. That's like one of the problems with starting out with like processing film with chemicals, that you might fail reeling that film that you shot from the canister onto the reel. I've seen a lot of people fail. I did it too. But they basically fixed that problem by doing it, by enabling the method of sort of like loading the film onto the reel within this specific kit. And it's sort of like an all-in-one solution where you can basically also cut the film within this sort of like container, and after you like reel it on there, and after you have it reeled within the container, you can basically stick in the chemicals, agitate it, throw out the chemicals, and then rinse, etc., etc. And it's sort of like a all-in-one solution, which kind of was revolutionary because no other companies have something similar to this. And I was basically talking with a representative, and they were saying that the cutting process, they had to make a bunch of like alliterations and samples for it to work, because it seemed that was the burden. The hardest part of making this product come to life is that you basically have to, you know, physically cut the film once you have it like reeled onto the, you know, the film. So that's actually one of the things that they had to like focus on. And because they were able to execute that correctly, they were able to bring this like product in life. So yeah, so in Japan specifically, they're gonna be, it's on pre-order right now. So, and if I'm right, the shipment is going to be in the end of March or so, if I'm right. So depending on where you live, obviously Lomography has like different like places where they ship out. The dates is probably going to fluctuate, but in Japan specifically, they will start shipping around in March. And the price isn't too expensive. It's like roughly 10,000 yen, so roughly $70-$80 or so. So that was actually unique, and I thought was like worth mentioning on my channel. So Lomography's newest, what I call dark room developing tank. So yeah, I'll stick in a link for the video because it's hard to explain, but if you watch the video, it will make sense. So yeah, I completely forgot to add on to that, is that this developing tank is meant for people who are starting out, and you can only process just one film at a time. So if you're used to using Patterson tanks, which you can put like, what, depending on the tank size, like 3 rolls, 4 rolls, maybe 5 rolls. It's not for those types of people. It's like for people who just want to sort of like develop just one film at a time. So efficiency wise, it's not that efficient, but I guess for people who are starting out, it's a great product. So yeah. So number 2 has to be a Plustek, and try to make this as short as possible, but I was looking at the script, I have more than 1 page, so how should I start this out? So Plustek is, if you recall, one of my sort of like most viewed videos. I was basically looking at my library is on a topic of film scanners. I currently use the Plustek 8200 AI, and Plustek, long story short, is a company that makes film scanners located in Taiwan. And honestly, if you're a Japanese citizen, the only like company that you can buy a new sort of like film scanner in Japan, in Tokyo, has to be Plustek, and you can purchase it from Amazon. And I mean, there's actually no alternative to Plustek as of 2025, unfortunately. I mean, you can purchase something used like a Nikon Cool scanner, but those are like ridiculously super expensive. And in my case, because of that sort of like situation, I purchased the Plustek, and so far I never had issues with it, so I thought it would make sense to make a video on them. So they basically had a booth on CP Plus 2025, and as of 2025 they released 2 products, new products actually, which I thought it would make sense for you guys, for my subscribers, is that they released the Optic Film 135 I AI, and also the Optic Film 120 Pro. So I will go with the Pro 120 first, then the Optic Film 135. IAI, which the naming is confusing. So the OpticFilm 120 Pro is, I should say, Plustek's professional, aka flagship scanner. And there's a lot to say, unfortunately, but compared to the other film scanners like the 8300 SC AI, which is their, I guess, entry-level scanners, the OpticFilm 120 Pro, as the name implies, you can scan medium formats now, and it comes with like film holders for those medium formats, sizes. So 6x9, which I currently shoot, 6x7, 6x6, and 645 formats you can actually scan with this scanner. And also it has support for panoramas, but I think Rainy Days, Jason made a video that you can do panoramas in Lightroom, which I never use, so I don't know if that's essential for some people, but it has that support. And also, what makes the 120 Pro version different from the OpticFilm 8300 and also the 135 is the Pro version comes with 8 glass elements. So it's kind of similar to, in a way, to the Nikon Coolpix scanner that I used back in photography school. Because it has those glass elements, the retrieval percentage of the exact same negative, you can get a higher resolution image from it, if I'm right. I haven't tested it, but it has that, and it uses Toshiba's CCD, which is exactly the same maybe with 8300 ISE and the AI. So yeah, and there's these like really small intricate differences between the products, so I can't say every single one of them because that's gonna take forever. I'll stick in a photo for you guys. It came with a pamphlet. They gave me a pamphlet actually. On the back it has the check mark of what's different, but yeah, that's gonna take forever for me. It's gonna take me 2 hours to explain every single one of them, so I'll try to brief it up for you guys. And also, because it is called the Pro, you can do batch scan. So the 8300 and also the 8200 that I currently own, if you ever used it, you basically, after you scan one frame, you basically have to push the film holder sideways to advance it. There's no automatic advancing function, and that's actually one of the reasons why I purchased the 8200. I think in North America you guys have, I forgot the film scanner, the one that Rainy Days uses. I forgot. It looks like a crab actually, but I'll stick a photo right there on the right side. But that one has auto sort of like forwarding function, and the reason why I didn't buy that was that automation can screw you up, because if it kind of fails to advance the film, you're gonna be scanning the wrong frame, or it could be in between frames. So that's actually one of the reasons why I purchased the 8200 AI actually. So yeah, I went a little bit off topic, but Optic Pro actually has sort of like batch scanning sort of like functionality, if I'm right. Batch scanning is, compared to like scanning just one frame at a time, you can scan probably like 5 or 6 frames all at once. It's going to take quite a long time, but you can actually do that instead of like, pushing it forward to advance it, scanning it. After you're done, you push it again. You don't have to do that. So that's like one area to note. And another product that they were announcing was the, I keep getting wrong with the names, OpticFilm 135i AI 5mm film format. And what's different about this product in particular compared to the OpticFilm 8300 AI and also the SE is that the DPI that they sort of like retrieve the data is exactly the same 7200. What's different about this is it's similar to the Pro version of the 120. You can do batch scans, so you can basically sort of like scan the whole image inside that film holder, and it also supports panorama, sort of like stitching of the photos. You can scan it all at once. So if you shoot with X-Pan specifically and also any kind of panoramas, you can actually fulfill that with this OpticFilm 135i AI version. This one in particular has 5 spherical elements that basically does the scan. So compared to the 8300 AI and the SE, AI and the SE, you will probably get better image details and sharpness from the scan compared to those. So yeah, that's another area to mention. And also, I was basically reading the Japanese pamphlet from Plustek, and it's, if I'm right, in Japanese, it says that you can basically reduce the neutrino rings that happen when you do these types of scans. And for 35mm, I use the 8200. I never experienced that, but there might be some people who experience neural rings when scanning using these types of scanners. But the 135 IAI kind of prevents that from happening. And you can also sort of scan in like half frames too, so that's another bonus for this version of scanner. And I do not know the exact price of how much these two products are gonna cost, but from what I can take, it's gonna cost like 1.5 times more than the 8300 SE and AI. And in Japan right now, the the SE and AI cost roughly 50,000 yen or so in Japan. So that's like $300, $400 for the 8300 SC or AI. And the 135 AI and also the Optic-Film 120 Pro is going to cost around 10,000 yen. So that's going to be like $700 or so, somewhere around that range. I don't know the exact price, but it's going to be in the $700-800 price range. So for some, that's going to be super expensive. And I know there are going to be some kind of comments in the comment section below, but I mean, use your money wisely, because that is quite a lot of money, you know. So that's actually one of the reasons why I'm still using the 8200 AI. So yeah, that's my coverage on Plustek. So number 3 is TTartisans. Okay, and you guys probably see in DIY photography, or I guess a lot of news on the photography space in the film section actually. So TTartisans is a company that focuses on third-party lenses. They make both manual and also autofocus lenses for mirrorless cameras specifically. But this time around, they launched a foldable camera actually, which looks really close to old foldable Mamiya 6. And when I first looked at it, I was like, wait a second, is this a medium format camera? And the representative says, no, it shoots with the Instax Mini from Fujifilm. And I'm like, no. Kinda. I was like, but not being critical or anything, but I was like sort of like displeased and also I guess happy at the same time, because TTartisans made sort of like a medium format looking camera. Sorry, my mic just fell. I'm reinstalling my mic right now. Be patient, guys. So basically they sort of like released foldable type of camera that looks like a medium format camera, but unfortunately you can basically shoot with an Instax Mini from Fujifilm. And what's weird about this camera, or intriguing I should say, is that it looks like a medium format. In normal like Instax cameras is like a point and shoot camera, so you can't change the exposure, you can't change the the brightness, you can't change the aperture and stuff like that. This camera, you can actually change the focus, you can also like change the shutter speed and also the aperture actually, if I'm right. It's sort of like a fully semi-automatic, not automatic, but semi-manual camera. I don't know, I was like, then what's the purpose of like sticking an Instax in there? But yeah, my mind was wandering off. But they come in like various color sort of like variations, and a model was holding it, but my mind was like floating somewhere else because it shoots with the Instax, and it's like a shocker. But when you look at it on the flip side, it means that like making a foldable camera isn't that hard, it seems like. So yeah, I have like high expectation that maybe some camera manufacturer could make a foldable film camera instead of an Instax, but hopefully Fujifilm won't get onto that bandwagon because they might. So yeah, that's actually something intriguing to inform you guys. So yeah, I do not know the intricate details about the price, but I hear it's going to be somewhere around $200 or $300, somewhere around there. So yeah, if you're into like a medium format camera, you can sort of like despise other people by saying that this is a medium format camera but only shoots Instax. Well, I don't know how that's gonna turn out. So yeah, But what's also interesting about this camera is that normally when you shoot with instax, you press the button once and it kind of shoots that, the instax mini size like paper, and you have to like wave it around and get it agitated and stuff like that to get the photo sort of like appear. This one in particular, there's a shutter button and also sort of like a winder, so you can actually advance the film, and when you do that, that's actually when the film, or not the film, but the instax pops out. So that was rather interesting in my mind, and yeah, I wish they make a medium format version of this, because then that would be sweet in my mind. So yeah, TTartisan. Okay, so after TTartisans is Kenko Tokina. A long time ago I made a video on Kenko Tokina's Nostaltone filters. One way of sort of like getting sort of like a film-like look using physical filters, screwing filters. I talked about the Nostaltone orange and also the blue. And Kenko Tokina is sort of like a holding company that makes various types of products. They have a bunch of like brands that they sort of like sell. And this is sort of like becoming a trend in Japan, that super tiny, what you call cameras, toy cameras, are beginning, I guess, a little bit picking up a trend actually, and which shoot crappy photos and crappy video. And I guess Jason from Grainy Days, I saw him like shooting with a camcorder or something like that. So you get that camcorder type of vibe if you shoot with these small types of cameras. And interestingly enough, Kenko Tokina released the Piania Flex and also the Piani 8 cameras. It's a toy camera, unfortunately, but it looks like a Ricoh Flex or any kind of TLR actually. And what's neat about this product is that it has a ground glass and it has a foldable, like what I call, it's like you can basically fold down. This is a gacha, but you can basically fold this, clamps it down and kind of stuff. But when you press the sort of like shutter button, it kind of records video and photo actually. So that was actually unique, and a lot of people were going after it. I wasn't able to like touch it, unfortunately, but it was like one thing to mention. And also the Piani 8 is also shaped like what I call a mini 8 camera, so which shoots video and photos. So yeah, that's actually one of the products that caught my attention for 2025 CP Plus from the Tokina booth. Okay, so last but not least, or this isn't last, this is like number 5. Okay, so number 5 is Fujifilm, and unfortunately I'm not interested in GFX, or I'm not interested in the XM5. I'm more interested in the printing part actually. And last video I talked about like the photo in the background right there, like I guess the best cost performing frame, which is IKEA's Lomography series, and within that frame lies Fujifilm's print that basically sent off to a lab. Actually, 2 of those prints I made a video on, not video on, but I talked about the frame and basically installed 2 photos in there. And in the back alley of the shiny like camera section lies the Fujifilm sort of like DPE section, which is their printing area actually. And they have various like services, and the most notable one and the part that I want to make a video, maybe in the future videos to come, is Fujifilm's printing sort of like service that they have online. And you can actually do this in stores in Tokyo in Japan actually. But I was talking with the representative there, talking about sort of like a paper that they have. And what's great about like Fujifilm's sort of like lab, as in sending off your photos to them and having it print and send it back to you, is that in these CP Plus types of what I call events, they basically have sample photos, so you can basically differentiate and kind of pre-visualize and also visualize the outcome of what it will look like, because they basically have a sample photo being displayed, printed on different types of paper. And on Fujifilm side, they have like 7 varieties of their maximum professional high-grade prints. And in the background, 2 of them, one's maximum matte and one's glossy, if I'm right. I need to print 5 more to make a sort of like a video on them, on their like lineup actually. But because in this particular scenario where I'm at a convention, I can basically differentiate and sort of like visualize, so what the texture, what the color would look like if it's like printed on that paper. They have like 7 varieties. They have matte, pearl, glossy, deep matte, and stuff like that. So yeah, this was actually a great experience just looking at it, and also sort of like talking with managers of the options that are available. And speaking of options, what's great about Fujifilm is because they are more towards the professional side, they have like various types of ways of sort of like presenting your work. It could be wood block or also like wood frame, or you can basically choose the matte color actually and the texture too, along with the backside panel, because if you do galleries and stuff like that, there's so many ways of presenting your work. There's like these thin metal sort of like back plates which you can apply to the backside of the photo to make it fully flush against the walls and stuff like that. Also, like, because that's heavy, there's a lighter variety where it has a thickness but it's like lighter, so when you put it on up against the wall it won't fall down and stuff like that. There's so many options, it's hard to like explain across the screen. However, I'm gonna dedicate a video on this topic, hopefully mentioning the Fujifilm's like printing types of papers and also I guess services that they have. So yeah, it was actually a great experience talking with the representative there, and also sharing my YouTube channel that hopefully I will make that video come true to life. And like I said, because I printed 2 so far in the background, I need to print 5 more. So yeah, I need to whip my ass to get that video coming. So yeah, it was actually a great experience talking with the representative. And also these conventions is a great way to connect with the person who is behind the counter at that lab or that specific, place that creates that, product come true to life. And you can also put in and also suggest some kind of suggestions if you have any opinions on their product. Maybe they might bring that true to life. Please bring a film camera. But yeah, not much of a high expectation on that front. But for printing, actually, what's great about these types of prints is, unlike like video, which you basically see on screen, photography is not just looking at on a monitor. It's not looking at on a smartphone. It's not looking at on an iPad. It's the amount of dedication it takes to get it printed and have it presented there. So when your friends come, or if your family comes, or if you do a gallery, you can stir up a conversation, the reason why you took that shot, what kind of, I guess, scene that you faced, and also what kind of, I guess, encounters that you had. Like the photo that I shot in front of Lawson, Fujisan in the background. I met so many people around that area who came from miles away to just get that shot. It's that experience that makes it count, and getting that printed on paper is another dedication that is worthwhile. So yeah, I went a little bit off topic on talking about Fujifilm's side, but I thought that was the last thing to mention. But last but not least is Cosina. I'm gonna go a little bit off topic because Cosina's is the company, a Japanese lens manufacturer that makes 100% manual focus lens for various mounts, both including Leica, Canon, Nikon, Sony, and also Fujifilm that I currently use. And obviously my favorite lens is Cosina's Noctons Voigtlanders 23mm f1.2 lens, which is it's epic lens in my mind, and it's my all-time favorite. And I was basically talking with a representative again and talking about my stories of my YouTube channel and how one of my subscribers came to Japan to find that VM 40mm lens for Leica, if I'm right. And he finally found it and went back, hopefully. And that kind of conversation is what a lot of what we call the representatives and managers will love to hear. Not just the product itself, but the stories behind how you encounter their lenses and stuff like that. And I basically talked about my video regarding the 23mm f1.2, my prized lens, Nocton, which I shoot most of the time, and also talking about video that I made also on the Ultron 27mm f2, and an upcoming video of the Color Scope Bar 18mm f2.8, which I still need to get my hands on. But yeah, that's a great experience, like talking with them. And also, I know that Cosina Voigtlander lenses are like really expensive for some people. It's like a sort of like a treasure for life. Was that a slogan from Victorinox or something like that. It's like there's lots of like variations in terms of like lens selections on the Voigtlander side, but if you can find the perfect lens, I mean, it's gonna stick around with you for half eternity for sure. So yeah, I'm glad I met with the 23mm f1.2. I don't regret that like decision of shelling out a lot of money, but it was really worth it, and for the next years to come. So yeah, went a little bit off topic. Unfortunately, this is a phone channel, so I shouldn't talk much about digital, but people who are like wanting to get that film-like look on digital, Voigtlander, aka Cosina, is a great option available. And yeah, depending on the, what's interesting about Cosina's like lenses is that depending on the lens mount, they have completely different lens offerings. So the lens found on Fujifilm side cannot be found on Nikon side. Lens found on Nikon side cannot be found on Canon side. And also on the Leica side, they have completely different lineups. So it's kind of interesting and intriguing to see what they have for you. And if you have the opportunity to visit Japan, maybe February might be the best time to visit, because CP Plus is happening most of the time. So yeah, that's basically it on my channel on also coverage of CP Plus. Hopefully this video is not too long, but I'll try my best to make it as short as possible. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative. I highly suggest visiting on weekdays instead of weekends, because weekends there's like 3 times more people compared to weekdays. So yeah, that's my suggestion, my opinion. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace out, and yeah, keep shooting.